Nekada pojam piramida odmah je u svijesti prizivao slike Egipta ili Južne Amerike. Danas je već dobro poznato da piramidalne strukture postoje na svim kontinentima. Raznih su veličina i od raznih materijala, ali njihova zagonetna namjena najvjerojatnije je bila zajednička. Najveća poznata piramida nalazi se u mjestu Visoko u Bosni i Hercegovini, 20 km od Sarajeva, i nije usamljena, zato se prostor oko nje naziva dolinom piramida. U rujnu 2011. u mjestu Visoko u podnožju najveće piramide, piramide Sunca, održana je druga međunarodna znanstvena konferencija o bosanskim piramidama. Bilo je to nekoliko dana na rubu znanosti.
Velika piramida Sunca u Teotihuacanu visoka je 74 metra. Najviša piramida Maja, zvanično, u Tikalu, Gvatemali, 94 metra. A Keopsova piramida na platovu Gize, 147 metara. Iza mene je bosanska piramida Sunca, koja je sa svojom visinom od 220 metara najviša piramida na svijetu. Sada tokom 9. mjeseca 2011. održavamo drugu međunarodnu naučnu konferenciju o bosanskoj dolini piramida. Od one prve prošle su tri godine. 2008. godine 55 naučnika iz 15 zemalja svijeta. Arheolozi, egiptolozi, geolozi, dekani, geofizičari zaključili su da je bosanska dolina piramida arheološki fenomen i naložili nam da istražujemo i da dođemo do odgovora ko, kada i zašto je gradio ovaj kompleks. I sada, 2011. godine, imamo skup od 27 stručnjaka. Ovaj puta različite specijalnosti. Ljudi kao što su fizičari, geofizičari, elektroinženjeri, stručnjaci za energetske fenomene. Pokušavamo dobiti odgovor na pitanje zašto su rađene ove prve piramide u Europi i najveće na svijetu. I čini se da se zauvijek pozdravljamo sa dogmom da su piramide građene kao grobnice faraona ili kao mjesta za žrtvovanje neprijatelja. Piramide jesu neka vrsta vrlo složenih energetskih mašina i sa njihovim daljnjim istraživanjem ne samo da ćemo promijeniti naše viđenje prošlosti, već imamo i potencijal da promijenimo našu budućnost. Dr. Sara Akonči, vodeći je arheolog Fondacije Arheološki park Bosanska piramida Sunca.
Well, we decided to create last summer this Italian team in order to work in cooperation with Foundation, Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, and I'm the ring in the middle of the chain in order to create a communication between these two foundations. And well, inside our group, we decided to accept a lot of scientists because actually we realized that we cannot understand these kind of structures without more than one science. Archaeology is not enough at all. So we have an anthropologist, we have an architect, we have a geologist, I'm the archaeologist, we have a sound engineer because we are doing some job with ultrasounds, we have photographers, so we are trying to collect scientists from Italy, not even only from Italy, because the sound engineer is from Finland, we have from Bosnia. So we are trying to work together in order to find some answers, but it's pretty hard. But with this group, we decided in December to search for a georadar because, well, we were working inside the Ravne tunnels and we simply realized that the pavement we choose in order to walk and to work, maybe it was not the real pavement. So we wanted to scan the surface of the pavement in order to search for other structures. So 2 months ago, 1 month and a half ago, we decided to come here with a georadar and we were able to scan all the tunnels, so 500 meters of tunnel. And actually we discovered that there is a structure under the ground. And it's a very unique structure because from an archaeological point of view I cannot recognize it. And even from the geological point of view, we were speaking with the geologist, it's impossible to understand what kind of structure it can be. We have a lot of theories, especially because this structure is made by these big stones, like, you know, when you're playing with the cards and you're creating this castle, it's the same. So we have different triangle with empty spaces, 2 empty spaces inside. And the measurements, I don't know, 2 meters for 1.5 meters, maybe they can be tombs. We will discover when we will start to dig. So we obtained these pictures from the georadar, and with these pictures we started to work in order to uncover the structure. But the point is that all the underground tunnels are full of water. So we started to have problems with this water. And in order to solve them, we had to put pipes to create cement walls inside the tunnels. It's very hard to work inside Ravne tunnels. First, because it's very dark and you cannot put so many lights because in another way you will have problems with electricity all around. Second, humidity. There is water coming from the walls, underground, everywhere. So we started to fix these problems with the water in the main tunnel where the structure was located. And after that we started to excavate a tunnel in front of this structure in order to have enough space to go deep, because this structure reached 4 meters deep. So 4 meters are so much, and especially inside a so small place. So we started to excavate this new tunnel to have enough space to go down, but we found another structure, the first circular small chamber created by 6 side tunnels with their drywalls.
U prosincu 2010. arheologije je iznenadilo otkriće praznih tunela unutar podzemnog labirinta Ravne.
So usually we have to remove the fill-up material because somebody wanted to close these tunnels with fill-up material plus drywalls. In that case, we found the end of the fill-up material, and we found 2 tunnels totally empty. The left one, after 42 meters, we found the end. The right one, it's amazing because it goes on for 145 meters. And inside this tunnel we found some water. In the beginning, the first 25 meters, we have 20 centimeters of water. But after that, the water is deeper and deeper and deeper. And exactly inside this new tunnel on the right, we found 10 meters of drywalls on the right side and on the left side. So you can walk in between these huge drywalls, totally different from all the other drywalls we have found before, because instead of closing other tunnels, they seem to be like a support for the ceiling. And after these amazing structures, you can find a channel for the water that goes on for 140 meters. So actually, new questions without answers, but we know that they wanted the water inside, because if they created the channel for the water, it's obvious that they wanted the water inside. So we started even to take pictures of the drywalls, try to understand if there is a source of water. So for a few days we were trying to pump out the water in order to check if the level was different, and we discovered that there is no source of water. So actually it's amazing that, because this water is, we don't know for how many thousands years inside this place, and it's drinkable. We took some samples, we received analysis, and it's drinkable. So we're trying to make some researches to create, because we don't know anything, it's an unknown civilization, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. So that's the reason why we are here.
Evo nas na ulazu u podzemni labirint Ravne. Prije 6 godina sa mojim dolaskom u Visokom i otkrićem piramida znao sam da mora postojati podzemna mreža tunela. Analogija je sa onima u Sakari, dakle u Egiptu, ispod stepenaste piramide, ispod platoa Gize, ispod piramida u Kini, Meksiku i drugim zemljama. Razgovarao sam sa lokalnim ljudima, pitao da li postoje negdje prirodne pećine, podzemni prolazi, pokazivali smo sve odreda pećine. Ovo su također zvali pećinom, jedan mali ulaz od 60 cm i jedan mali prolaz od 50 metara. Počeli smo da ga čistimo, vidio sam polukružni svod i znao sam da nije riječ o prirodnom, već o vještački pravljenom prolazu. Čišćenjem ustanovili smo da imamo čitavu ogromnu mrežu podzemnih tunela i prostorija i da vidimo kako ona izgleda. Ušli smo u podzemni labirint Ravne. Od ovoga mjesta do bosanske piramide Sunca 2,5 km. U proteklih 5 godina, od 2006. do 2011. očistili smo i podgradili oko 500 metara. Ono što mi radimo, mi čistimo postojeće prahistorijske tunele i postavljamo ovu drvenu podgradu kako je bilo sigurno za posjete istraživača i turista. Dakle, ispred nas u ovom pravcu je bosanska piramida Sunca. Vodi nas put prema jugu. Međutim, ovdje smo već kod prve raskrsnice. Jedan put vodi na desnu stranu i ide od piramide prema Zenici i Ravnuku. Ono što ćemo mi da radimo, mi ćemo da pratimo ovaj lijevi krak koji nas vodi prema piramidi. Najniži dio tunela, par metara, stavite se dobro. Evo nas na lokaciji našeg jajolikog monolita. Kao što vidimo, imamo oblik jajeta. U kosmičkoj biologiji jaje označava proces rađanja. Drugi element, pogledamo površinu, kao da imamo 7 uzvišenja. Moguće je da ovaj jajoliki monolit predstavlja topografiju terena prije hiljade i hiljade godina. Treći element, imamo ovu liniju koja se pruža čitavom površinom monolita i kao da ovo predstavlja poklopac. Četvrti element, zašiljeni dio nalazi se ovdje i ukoliko pokazuje pravac kretanja, tačno ispred nas imamo jedan zid i ispred nas je tunel koji je u potpunosti zatvoren. I peti element, ispod ovog kamenog bloka nalazi se podzemni vodeni tok. Taj podzemni vodeni tok se upravo kreće u ovom pravcu kao što je postavljen i blok. Za nas u 21. stoljeću ovo je samo običan komad stijene. Za drevne narode on je predstavljao marker, simbol, pokazivao je mjesta gdje su pozitivne energije, gdje su podzemni vodeni tokovi. Doktor Slobodan Mizdrak iz Zagreba, inženjer je elektrotehnike, magistar fizike i doktor informatičkih znanosti. Ovdje u Visokom prvi je identificirao postojanje energetskog snopa koji izlazi kroz centar bosanske piramide Sunca.
Na bosanskoj piramidi Sunca, na samom vrhu, ljudi su osjećali čudne pojave, svojim rukama su znali osjetiti toplotu, dolazili bi sa viskovima, osjetili bi energiju. Svi su uglavnom pričali, gle, to je energija na vrhu bosanske piramide. Neki bi rekli liječi, podižu ti raspoloženje, čak i podmlađuju i da su to energije koje oni jako dobro osjete. Nakon nekog vremena se počne pitati, ok, ako to oni mogu osjetiti svojim rukama, viskom ili nečim, zašto mi ne bi to mogli izmjeriti sa instrumentima? To je jedini način gdje mogu reći, ok, ima nešto ili taj, nema ništa. Okrenuo sam se, skupio ekipu, došli smo na 3 dana, nosili smo sa sobom čitav niz instrumenta, pokušavajući naći energije. Čak smo se smijali, bili smo jako skeptični. Ali gle, ok, došli smo jednom za sva vremena utvrditi, gle, nema ništa ko va šiša. Međutim, desilo se suprotno. To je ono što zovem frustracijom. Nađemo nešto na jako niskim frekvencijama elektromagnetnog spektra i ne znamo šta je. I ne znamo gdje je, što je izvor, što je ne samo što, nego koliko je udaljen i koga je k vragu napravio. Na bosanskoj piramidi Sunca smo upotrijebili 4 različita osciloskopa i spektrometra, pokušavajući naći točni range frekvencije koji bi postojao. 3 od ta 4 uređaja su nam postali beskorisni jer na svim od njih nismo našli niti traga o zračenju. Kad smo se spustili, znači sa zadnjim osciloskopom koji je ručni, koji je čak najjednostavniji, na jako niske frekvencije ustanovili smo da postoji redoslijed, znači od 26 do 32 kHz. Frekvencija ne može biti najtočnija jer instrumenti moraju biti zasebno kalibrirani. Drugi put kad smo došli na vrh piramide, donijeli smo drugi instrument i ustanovili da se radi najviše od 26, ali ima i harmonika u drugim frekvencijama.
Ono što je zanimljivo tu, što je mene, ajde da kažem, zagolicalo, je da to ne može biti zračenje iz prirodnog izvora, jer u prirodi ne postoji izvor koji emituje elektromagnetne talase sa talasnom dužinom većom od 1 metra. A talas ima frekvencija 30 kHz, odgovara talasna dužina od oko 10 km. I sad se tu postavlja pitanje da li tu postoji nešto što je artificijalno, što je napravljeno, ili je takav sklop struktura i geofizičkih parametara tih struktura da se napravila neka vrsta, da tako kažem, nekog emitera koji funkcioniše, kako sam ja neki slobodnim razmišljenjem zaključio, kao neka monopol antena. Da bi to bio neki prirodni izvor, najmanje oko 2,5 km u dubinu mora da bude neka električni polarisana ravan u suštini, to je osnovno. I sad, ako imate električnu polarisanu ravan, vi da biste dobili emisiju zračenja morate da imate promenljivu struju. A sad, ono što je mene na to nateralo, da tako pomislim, je zadnje predavanje koje je juče bilo, gde je vršeno neko satelitsko snimanje i dati raspored, registrovani raspored kanala i odaja raznih u piramidi Sunca, s tim što je bilo naglašeno da struktura tih kanala definitivno ukazuje da postoje i vertikalni kanali, ali tom tehnikom se ti vertikalni ne mogu registrovati. Sad, ako postoje takvi vertikalni kanali, relativno duboki, i ako u njima je vazduh polarisan, i ako su uslovi fizički takvi da se koncentracija jona, tih polarisanih jona menja, vi imate praktično najizmjeničnu struju, vi imate emiter. To je teorijski moguće.
Problem, veliki problem, je to što više podižemo naše sonde, energija raste, pikovi koje mi lovimo su veći i veći. Na toj frekvenciji ne postoji ništa nama poznato, niti u prirodi, a niti ljudskom rukom napravljeno, a da proizvodi te valove. Na mnogim drugim mjestima, počevši od samog hotela gdje smo noćili, pa dolaskom u Zagreb, hodanje po Sljemenu, hodanje po zgradama po Novom Zagrebu, nismo našli nikakav takav signal nigdje drugo. Povratkom nazad na piramidu Sunca opet detektiramo isti signal. Ko što rekoh, nije problem, svatko ko iole sumnja, kupi najjeftiniji osciloskop, dođe na piramidu, pojede ćevape i uživa u tomu videći da nešto ima. Neobično je što signal raste podizanjem sonde, udaljavanjem od piramide. Znači, mi je podižemo, udaljavamo od piramide, a signal raste. Opet ono što smo mi očekivali da je izvor negdje u piramidi. Elektromagnetni valovi se ne ponašaju tako. Oni udaljavanjem od objekta, čak kvadratom udaljavanje, gube jako puno energije. Znači, što smo mi dalje, ona je sve slabije i slabije. Ovdje se dešava nešto drugo. Što se više udaljavamo, što se više penjemo prema vrhu, i to moram napomenuti, vrh piramide nije vrh, nego odrezan. Čak i onoliko koliko smo mi podizali sondu, nismo još došli do vrha, a signal raste. Kontroverzno.
Ispred mene nalazi se jedan zid, sastavljen od kamena, najvjerojatnije iz riječnih korita. Lijepo su slagani. Mi ga zovemo suhozid, zato što nema vezinog sredstva između. Međutim, vrlo je stabilno napravljen. Iza suhozida je šljunkoviti, rastresiti materijal, koji je služio da neko u potpunosti zatvori ovaj tunel koji se nalazi ispred mene. Vidimo polukružni profil ovoga stropa. Ovdje se nalazi tunel koji po 90 stupnjeva dolazi na ovaj u kome mi sada stojimo. Ali ga je neko u potpunosti zatvorio i zazidao. Metar dalje imamo drugi zid. Također vrlo stabilno građen, sa interesantnom pravokutnom pločom tačno po sredini, po horizontalnoj i vertikalnoj sredini. Ponovo rastresiti materijal, a ispred nas polukružni profil svoda. Jedan do drugoga paralelni. 5 metara niže, treći tunel. 5 metara prije nas, četvrti. Svi su paralelni i svi su bili zatvoreni u doba kad smo došli ovdje. Ono što mi radimo, čistimo neke od tunela koji nas vode prema piramidi Sunca. U ovom momentu dvije su misterije. Prva, ko je, kada i zašto napravio ovu mrežu podzemnih tunela i kao što ćemo kasnije vidjeti prostorija, a druga, ko i zašto je ovo sve zatvorio. Čini se da je riječ o dvije civilizacije. Do sada smo na osnovu radiokarbonskih analiza zaključili da su graditelji podzemnog labirinta ovdje došli prije više od 10.000 godina. A druga, da su oni koji su ispunjavali sve ove bočne prolaze to učinili prije oko 5.000 godina. I jedna i druga su starije od svih poznatih naprednih kultura na tlu Bosne i Hercegovine. Čisteći ove tunele nailazimo na čitav niz interesantnih arheoloških artefakata. Primjera radi, ispred mene nalazi se fino obrađeni komad pješčara u obliku ljudskog oka. Površina mu je kao valovita mustra, a ovu teksturu susrećemo i na piramidi Mjeseca i na tumulusu u Vratnici. Nadalje, ova interesantna ploča nađena na ovom mjestu i ona na sebi ima nekoliko uklesanja. Neki od njih podsjećaju na trokute, na linije. A opet kad se izlože drugačijoj svjetlosti, kao da imamo likove sa očima i ustima. Hugh Newman iz Velike Britanije je organizator poznatih megalitomanja konferencija koje se održavaju u Velikoj Britaniji, Južnoj Africi i SAD-u.
Newman posebice istražuje teoriju o energetskoj mreži Zemlje. Svoja dugogodišnja istraživanja predstavio je i u knjizi Earth Grids, mreže Zemlje.
So when we're looking at the global grid, it seems like the Earth, it's a vibratory planet. We're moving through the solar system. There's a lot of noise and sound and music that is constantly shifting and changing and creating vibration. And so these vibrations, form into like a matter, form into the surface of the planet. If you get a spherical object of liquid and you put different frequencies of sound into it, it will move through different geometrical sounds. And so I think with the grid, we're looking at a sort of sound and vibration-based principles. But obviously the Earth itself has a magnetic field, has electric currents moving around the surface. There's lots of different types of energy, lots of different types. So there's a whole symphony of energy, sound and vibration that create these different geometries. So the Earth grid is really a system of sort of geomancy and geodesy around the planet, which is basically the arrangement of ancient sites around the planet and whether they were deliberately designed and laid out, and that then there were surveyors going around the planet mapping different areas, different countries, and it seems like there was an understanding, there was a global phenomenon where they would actually do that. They would actually get out onto the land, they would sail across oceans, and we're going back potentially 5,000 to 10,000 years ago. It's very distant past we're looking at here. A lot of sites are geometrically arranged around the planet, and they do form a kind of grid. There's another way of looking at it, is like a more conceptual or an energy-based grid, where the Earth itself creates energetic geometries that areas on the surface become recognized as these spots or these points where the points of these geometries touch the surface. So there's different ways of looking at it, really, when you're looking at grids around the planet. But I think what I'm interested in personally, and what we're discussing at this conference, is the arrangement of ancient sites and how they fit into these different patterns. If you look at the ancient maps, for instance, there's the Pires Res map from the 1500s. There's some other maps that even map the entire Antarctica, the South Pole, which suggests they must have been mapped over 10,000 years ago in detail. There was detailed maps going around 10,000 years ago of the planet. So who did that? Why were they doing that? And what was the purpose of that? So it seems like these sites were not only were they local temples and sacred sites, they were also of a greater system around the entire planet.
Tijekom istraživanja drevnih lokaliteta, Newman je pokušao pronaći vezu između njihovih zemljopisnih, geoloških, geometrijskih i astroarheoloških karakteristika.
If we come into the more localized individual sites, like the Bosnian Pyramid, for instance, or Stonehenge in England, or the Great Pyramid at Giza in Egypt, then each site has its own kind of vibratory field, and each individual site was used as a kind of technology to generate and amplify the energies that are present in that particular part of the Earth. The small, the geology, the Earth energies, and the different kind of functions of that part of the planet were amplified through these sacred sites. And so they would use that energy for different purposes. One of the purposes which I find fascinating, is the Earth Energies perspective, is they used to go there and they used to place seeds within the sites, like within a dolmen or a stone circle or a pyramid, and the energy was so strong there that it would charge the seeds up. So when they went to plant the seeds, they would get a much higher yield, they'd get more crops, more plants growing, and it would be better quality, and it would also, often it would grow faster. And so it was like what's been discovered now is that there was like an ancient technology, an agricultural technology in prehistoric times. And amazingly, some of these sites still function today. They still work. You can go there, you can place your seeds, and you can still get results. And these have been tested by various scientific researchers such as John Burke, Philip Callaghan, the BLT research team, and many others. And now it's now been proven that these sites could have been used, for that purpose. When you look at the distribution of ancient sites, they're like harmonic distances apart from each other. If you take Giza, for instance, and you take that as the prime meridian, rather than Greenwich in London, forget that, take Giza as the prime meridian going through Egypt, and to the north, south pole, Giza. If you take directions out west and east of that, basically you get harmonic, you find all the ancient sites are harmonically placed according to that prime meridian. Like they're 120 degrees away, or they're 100 degrees away, out of a 360-degree circle. So there's longitudinal harmonics at work there. And you get the same thing with latitude when you're moving up, south, north of the equator. You find at the equator, that was like the sort of where you start the map from when you're going north and south. So, for instance, Luxor, Thebes, one of the ancient capitals of Egypt, is 2/7 of the way up to the North Pole. Avebury, the great stone circle complex in England, is 4/7 of the way up to the North Pole. So there's lots of number and harmonics and fractions are incorporated into these systems. The Bosnian pyramid fits into some of these as well. You'll start noticing as you explore and look at the distances between the pyramid here and other ancient sites around the world. I mean, for instance, if we look at Machu Picchu in Peru, this famous hilltop kind of temple site, that's exactly 90 degrees away from, 90 degrees west of the Bosnian pyramid. So we're looking at as 1/4 of the distance around the world, exactly, from Bosnia to Machu Picchu, and then we come back around again. And so we find anomalies like this, lots of different sites around the planet. But really there are so many, there are hundreds of thousands of ancient sites. You really have to choose the big sites, the well-known, the temple complexes, and then you start finding the patterns. It's a very interesting study, and I'm sure more will come out as we go through, with more discoveries are made in this part of the world.
Zamisao o geometrijskom obliku zemlje seže još u povijest pitagorejske škole u antičkoj Grčkoj. Grčki filozof Platon ta razmišljanja iznio u svom dijelu Timeji.
Well, if we go back to about 500 BC, 400 BC, we get Plato, the famous Plato, and he was, when he talked about the Earth, he talked about it being made of, like a football, made of 12 pieces of skin, and which would, if you put, 12 faces onto a sphere, that could represent a dodecahedron, which is 12 pentagonal faces. And so that's kind of an early reference, and he believed that the Earth was made up of these different segments. The later research really is last century, and you get people such as Ivan Sanderson, who did some research on the Bermuda Triangle, and he mapped around the whole planet where all these strange phenomena and disappearances, gravitational and magnetic anomalies happened. And he mapped around the planet, and he found that there were 12 sites he called the 12 Devil's Graveyards. And he noticed that when you join the dots, join these areas together, they create an icosahedron, which is a 20-faced, with 20 triangular faces around the planet. And when the points touch the surface, these 12 points, that's where all these phenomena happen. So that was the first real evidence of like a planetary grid at work on the planet, on the surface, and having an effect. Other researchers, there was 3 Russian researchers around the same time in the early 1970s, and they believed that the Earth had a crystal core, and that after millions of years of rotation, Earth and water and everything would form upon it. And the energetic signature of this crystal core is still present on the surface of the planet, so you could actually detect it using different instruments. And they believed it was more of a dodecahedron, similar to what Plato had said earlier. Bruce Cathy is another researcher who later discussed UFO flight paths all around the planet, especially in New Zealand, where he was from. Now, this was kind of a strange way of looking at it, but other researchers in France and other places had noted that as well, that wherever these UFOs are spotted, they seem to move in lines parallel to one another. And so it was like they were kind of following a grid system around the planet, almost like using the energy of the grid itself to power their crafts. But there's also evidence that could have been light phenomena, which is partly to do with geology and grid harmonics. And there's been a lot of other researchers who have put lots of ideas into this. I mean, one of the most interesting for me is like the Great Pyramid in Egypt being like the power center, like the geodetic omphalos, the center of the world, from an energetic perspective, but also from a geomantic perspective, and from a land-based perspective, because more land is from, if you go from the Great Pyramid in all directions, there's more land than from anywhere else on the planet. That's like the sort of gravitational, plug point, the power point at the center of the planet. And so everything came from that, and that's on the grid. And so there's a lot of evidence to suggest that these pyramids, these ancient sites, were actually like kind of power generators, and the grid was almost like what today we would see as an electricity grid or an internet grid, but they used it for different purposes in prehistoric times.
Lokacija našeg megalita K1, megalit Veliki kamen. Prije 6 godina ovaj megalit je bio u potpunosti prekriven konglomeratom, koji je sada iznad nas, podgrađen. Kada smo ga očistili, vidjeli smo su njegove dimenzije od repa do glave 2,60 m, širina 1,40 m, debljina do 40 cm, sa masom od oko 4 tone. Na njegovoj površini nalazimo uklesane simbole, neki nas podsjećaju na strelice. Imamo ovdje nove simbole. Ukupno 25 ugraviranih simbola na površini ovog megalita. Iako nije riječ o slovima, ovdje je riječ o nekoj vrsti pismenosti, jer ljudi su komunicirali među sobom. Vjerojatno jednoj od najstarijih pismenosti u Europi. Tačno ispod nas nalazi se podzemni vodeni tok. Drevni su narodi znali kada stavljaju megalit iznad vode, a pošto podzemna voda generira energiju sa sobom, taj megalit prima tu energiju i polako je ispušta u okolinu. Kada imate jedan megalit, drugi, treći, četvrti seriju megalita, imate, što su drevni narodi znali, sveta mjesta, imate obilje energije. Sveštenici su bili u mogućnosti da komuniciraju sa spiritualnim dimenzijama, a obični ljudi sa dodatnom energijom da dobivaju imunitet. Evo nas na našem megalitu K2. Naš prvi jajoliki monolit imao je masu od 300 kg. Megaliti K1 i K3 3,5 i 4 tone. Megalit K2 ima 8 tona. Što dublje ulazimo u podzemni kompleks, ovi blokovi postaju sve veći. Pogledajmo nekoliko njegovih karakteristika. Sama površina izgleda kao da je neko lijepo modelirao, nastojeći da napravi reljef sa uzvišenjima, dolinama, rijekama. Nadalje, ova linija sa strane koja se pruža kao kod jajolikog monolita ukazuje da ovo može biti neka vrsta poklopca. Treća interesantna stvar krije se ispod samog megalita. Naime, ispod megalita imamo jednu ploču debljine 15 cm. Pruža se čitavom dužinom i megalit sjedi na njoj. Drugim riječima, ona je služila kao postolje. Vrlo važan arheološki dokaz da je neko izabrao ovu lokaciju zbog važnosti. Na nju postavio megalit i vezao ih vezanim materijalom na bazi kalcijum karbonata. Zašto? Čini se da imamo odgovor na to pitanje. 22 metra ispod nas imamo vrlo moćan podzemni vodeni tok koji dolazi, u nešto udara ispod i račva se na dva dijela, lijevi i desni. I upravo gdje imamo ovu pukotinu, tako se kreće i ta podzemna voda. Kao što smo rekli, voda generira energiju. Kada je monolit bio izložen hiljadama godina toj energiji, počinje monolit da puca. Uzeli smo uzorke sa površine ovog megalita K2. Poslije na analizu. Urađene su vrlo sofisticirane analize, poznate pod imenima fazna analiza i rentgenska difrakcijska analiza. Imali smo samo jedno pitanje, da nam odgovore da li je riječ o prirodnom pješčaru ili je riječ o nekoj vrsti vještačkog kamena. Odgovor je bio, ovo je definitivno keramika. U Bosni imamo najveće piramide na svijetu, u Bosni je sve veliko i najveće. I ne čudi što imamo i najveću keramičku skulpturu. Jer iz arheologije znamo da su poznati male keramičke posude, keramičke vaze, a ovdje imamo 8-tonsku keramičku skulpturu. Zatim smo snimili ovaj megalit sa georadarskim instrumentom. Dobili dva vrlo važna zaključka. Prvi, da je on građen iz dva dijela. Iz osnove, oko 30 cm debele, i iz ovog površinskog dijela, odnosno poklopca, debelog 10 cm. Ali, kada smo snimali utrobu ovog megalita, došli smo do zaključka da je neko prvo izlio osnovu, a onda ovdje je postavio jedan ovalni predmet. I zatim sve zalio. I koliko god je monolit interesantan zbog svog vanjskog izgleda kao artefakt, on izgleda još važniji po tome šta krije unutra. Elementi koje imamo. podzemna voda, energija, ona udara u površinu, aktivira taj ovalni predmet, on je okružen keramikom, keramika oscilira, vibrira i stvara elektromagnetno polje, a to je ono što mi možemo mjeriti sa našim naučnim instrumentima. 31 kHz je elektromagnetno polje koje smo ovdje izmjerili. Da bi postojalo elektromagnetno polje, morate imati vještački izvor. Drugim riječima, pred nama se krije primjer antičke tehnologije. Nimalo slično je našoj, ali tehnologije koja se može mjeriti našim mjernim instrumentima. Magistar znanosti Gabriela Lukač iz Beča iz Austrije prije 5 godina bila je volonter na našem projektu bosanskih piramida, a danas jedan od vrlo interesantnih istraživača piramida po čitavom svijetu. Govorila je o manje znanim piramidama u Europi.
We have known pyramids, already known in the Canary Islands, in Sardinia and Sicily, and they are made of lava stone, so volcanic stone. But there are also pyramids made of stone in France and Greece, and a 2,000-year-old one in Rome, made of stone, small and in ruins. But what's more interesting is the unknown pyramids in Europe, and these are covered or hidden under hills. Like in Istria, in Motovun, you have 2 rows of each 3 hills, and they are only known as hill fort, 277 meters high, but they are probably pyramids, so stone structures hidden under these hills. And the clue for it is the orientation and also the alignment as the Giza pyramids, and myth and legends. And we have about 4 locations in Italy, which is Montevecchia near Bergamo, and there are 3 hills. And you can clearly see, when you go on Google Earth, everybody can see it, that these are pyramidal structures, just covered by soil, because you can see the terraces, you can see the steps, and you can see all the features a pyramid has. So Montevecchia in Italy, and there's one also in Sant'Agata in Naples, and one in Piediluco near Florence. And there are more pyramids like in Maribor in Slovenia, and there they even call it Pyramid Hill.
Kako uopće razlikovati brdo od piramide prekrivene zemljom?
Each hill or each mountain looks somehow conical shaped. And some of these conical shaped even look like pyramids. But there are special criteria. First of all, you need to look, is there an orientation to the cardinal points, which means to northwest, east, south. And if there is such a feature, so such an orientation, then you have to look, well, is there geometric shape? Is there really 4-sided pyramid or 3-sided pyramid? Or is it just a round and conical or distorted hill? And then also you have to look, is there old ceremonial culture places? Have the old cultures been there? And is there also an astronomical observatory platform on top? And if these criteria apply, then you look further, underground tunnels, stone balls, and megalithic slabs, and so on.
Jedno takvo mjesto je planina Rtanj u Srbiji.
Mountain Rtanj seems to be an interesting location because its peak is said to be a pyramid, 177 meters base, side base, and triangular shape. I do not know the height, but it can be measured, but we do not know. It sits on top of the mountain. It is said so. Old myth and legend say so. Also the stone balls that have been found there, also megalithic slabs and megalithic tombs and stones.
Neobične kamene kugle proslavio je Arthur Clarke, koji ih je otkrio na Kostarici, ali
I have seen stone balls in Italy, many stone balls near Sant'Agata, near Naples. I have seen these stone balls Also in Sardinia, huge stone balls, about diameter 150 centimeters. And I have seen the stone balls in Austria, same size, 150 centimeters diameter, but broken in half, so not as beautiful as the Bosnian ones or the Serbian ones. And I have also seen stone balls in other European countries.
S juga Europe istraživanje je Gabrielu Lukač odvelo na sjever.
About 10 years ago, a German gentleman, Walter Haug, he noticed that in the German woods in southern western Germany, there were strange structures, stone structures, and covered under dense vegetation right in the woods. And he asked the authorities, what is this? What kind of structures are these? They said, well, it's just a quarry. Well, then for a couple of years he's continued investigating, and this is how I came into it, because he then stated, well, this could be pyramids. I said, no way, in Germany, pyramids, I've never heard of. And so I visited him a couple of years ago, and I saw these structures, and I was convinced it can only be either a human-made structure of any kind we don't know yet, or it is a pyramid, because it is huge. It's about 30 meters high, and it's polished stone, and it is also chiseled stone, and this is definitely no quarry, because you do not polish a stone after you broke it and sold it, the rest, what you left over. And then they also would pile up huge, a mountain of small stones, which are left over when you quarry big stones. Then you have small stones, pebbles, and then you usually shovel it behind you, because it's not in your way then. But this was shoveled just in front of the structure, and this is very unusual. And then round this hill, they built a dry wall. So in order that these stones would not collapse, or the hill would not collapse. And we asked authority, what is this? They said, we have no idea, we don't know. We don't know how old it is, we don't know who it made, but we think it's a quarry.
Na putu od Njemačke prema Italiji, u potrazi za mogućim europskim piramidama, našao se i Motovun.
Motovun was told, and people there, they speak about it, there could be pyramids, these hills. And so this is how I had a look, and this is, I'm convinced at least one or two hills is not natural. First of all, you have to know that this is a very, very old dwelling settlement, Stone Age time. Now, a week ago, they found this 7,000-year-old statue of a woman, and this proves that people have been living there for at least 7,000 years. And when we find them in Motovun, when we find these megalithic stones on top of the mountain, on the foot of the mountain, then we know these stones have been chiseled and cut by man. You can see that. Now, if you know how long a settlement has been there for 7,000 years, megalithic stones, then you think, what could be that age? And then you could think, well, why is this mountain, was this mountain built there, or was it not built but shaped? And that's what I believe. It could be shaped, because you can see clearly features. You see the sides of the mountain, although it's covered by trees. The orientation, sun observation, and the other criteria. I put all the pyramids or pyramid hills that I saw on the map. And I drew a line, and I could connect them, especially in Italy. They are all on one line. And then there is also the Motovun Istria line with Visokom. And this is a really strange coincidence. And Maribor, again, so there are three lines. Maribor and Bosnia is on one line, and also Istria with the Italian, with the third or fourth they found in Cividale, and the other Italian. So it seems to be parallel lines, and it seems to be a pattern. Template is the pattern you apply, and this is first orientation, alignment, observation of sun and stars, the tunnels, the stone balls, all these criteria which you can find with all these pyramid hills or pyramid mountains.